Hello everybody, welcome back to the video. In this video, I want to talk about quitting MapleStory. I'm sure a lot of people who have played this game or maybe even watching this video have probably quit the game before and either have come back or maybe they permanently quit. This is going to be sort of like a discussion video on why I think people don't necessarily play this game every day for a long time, or maybe why people even quit the game in the first place. And I'm also very interested in hearing what you guys think about this, what your stories are, whether you quit the game for whatever reason, because I think it's actually really valuable to learn why people quit the game in order to improve the game. I'm going to give you my thoughts as somebody who's been playing this game as his main game for over 7 years now. Actually, I've been playing as my main game for that long, and I've met probably thousands of people. I've seen every single story under the sun on why people have quit the game. And I also want to make it clear that I'm not trying to make like a doomer video. I'm not trying to bash on the game. I simply just want to talk about why people quit this game, just like any other game, why people end up quitting those games. As a matter of fact, MapleStory is on a pretty big upward trend in terms of growth over the last few years. Before 2022, the game has been on a pretty steady player base. As you can see, from 2012 to 2022, there actually hasn't been like a huge increase in players for like a 10-year period, but within the last few years, there has been a big growth. So in order to keep continuing this growth, I think it's pretty valuable to learn why people end up quitting the game. Anyways, enjoy this video. It's a yapping video, so maybe you could put on some music or watch this while you're grinding or whatever. And of course, if you enjoyed this video, definitely be sure to subscribe, pull up to the live stream, and join the Discord. The first thing that I want to talk about as for a reason why people quit the game, I think is like so valid, is service. I'm gonna call it service. I'm not talking about meso farming service. I'm talking about the service that Nexon themselves, the game publisher, provides to the players. The sheer amount of maintenances, lack of communication, bad decisions here and there, I think can make a lot of people end up quitting this game. You may or may not have known, but during the June patch, it was one of the most hyped patches in a very, very long time. It was so hyped to the point that the game actually reached an all-time high player count, higher than anything we've ever seen in at least the last 13 years. That's how excited people were to play this game. As you can see, there has been a very sharp decline since then, about like a 40% decrease in players just within the last 2 months from June. So why did around 40% of people stop playing since June? Like, that's a huge amount of people, right? Well, I think one of the biggest reasons is because of the service, constant lack of maintenances, bad monetization decisions. For example, only putting vac pets in the challengers world, so you're forced to play there and you can't actually play on your main world if you don't have a vac pet. Stuff like that just rubs people the wrong way. And also on top of that, not giving the best apologies or courses of action in order to correct this behavior. People are not stupid. They're going to understand that the company is money hungry. They don't really actually care about the player base that much. And it clearly shows, because instead of seeing that we are at an all-time high in player base and maybe giving a lot of free rewards and being really grateful that a lot of people are playing the game more than ever, by the way, like 16,855, that's more than the last 13 years. That's more than like a 10-year period combined, pretty much. They decided to just giga monetize the game in that patch because there's a lot of people playing. And I'm not here saying there's something wrong with necessarily monetizing the game. There's nothing wrong with monetizing the game. It's just, it clearly shows their intentions, right? It clearly shows that when there's a lot of people playing, the first thing they're going to do above anything else is try and rinse you for all the money that they can, which makes people not feel good. On top of all of that, there's also like a million maintenances that happen as this happens. So you're getting rinsed and there's a million maintenances that happen at the same time. So that's what I mean by service. I mean, Nexon themselves, who run this game, provide a pretty mediocre service a lot of the times. Now, again, I want to make it clear, it's not all bad. We have things like Inkwell notes that give us amazing things to look forward to and are something that you should be very, very excited about. But on the other hand, we also have really bad service from time to time, and it causes a lot of bad feelings for a lot of people. The next reason why I think a lot of people end up quitting this game, and something that I've personally seen just from meeting leading a lot of people over time is expectations slash comparing to others. So what I mean by that is, let's say you're going to go into a star forcing event and you have a certain amount of money, right? Let's say you have like 10 bill for starring. And let's say you want to get like 22 arcanes or something like that. You're going to safeguard 0 to 22. It's a shining star force event. And you want to get a 22 arcane. It's like median cost 16 bill, average cost 21 bill. You spend your 10 bill and you get nothing. Obviously, that's going to make you pretty upset. And what's even more in particular is when it's somebody's first starring event and they don't get lucky or they don't hit around the average, they get really, really upset and they quit. Now, I want to make something very clear. I actually don't think there's anything wrong with that. If I were to go into a game and I spent a bunch of time grinding and then I got absolutely destroyed, I'd be pretty upset too. I'd want to at least take a break or maybe even quit the game. Like, that makes total sense to me. But the issue is, in my opinion, is a lot of people don't actually go out of their way to learn the averages, learn the medians of certain items, and they kind of just compare to others and just want what others have. When in reality, a lot of the progression in this game is just a numbers game. It's not really anything secret or you have to do anything in particular. It's just you need a certain amount of mesos and you're going to get a certain result based off of how many mesos you have and how many spares you have. Because that's the other thing about this too, is you also, can boom your items. Like, how many times have you guys seen in a guild Discord or a stream Discord, in like a flex channel or a fails channel, you'll see people posting the craziest hits, them getting super, super lucky. And it's going to make you feel like, why am I not getting lucky? Like, why can't I hit? And then you're going to end up spending money and then you don't hit because some people just get luckier than you. And there's also times where you yourself are also going to get lucky, but you might not have realized it, where you kind of just like fixate on one thing that you want to get really lucky on and you're not really realizing there's other things you might have gotten lucky on along the way. Basically, what I'm saying is a lot of people end up comparing themselves to others. They have misaligned expectations and it causes really high stress. I've seen this all the time, so often. And nobody likes a doomer. Nobody likes a miserable person that just complains about how unlucky they are. But I'm sure we've all met that one person that always does that. Is all they do is just talk about how unlucky they are, how dog shit all the systems are. But at the end of the day, of course they weren't going to hit. They don't have the numbers to hit in the first place. Now, I also want to say, I'm not saying there's no such thing as being unlucky. Like, there are people that are truly really getting unlucky, but most of the time, in my opinion, after seeing thousands of people play this game, most of the time they're not actually unlucky. They just have really, really bad expectations and they're just not educated in the actual numbers. That's all it is, to be honest with you. So if you see yourself doing this, this is my advice to you. Like, really, really don't compare to others. It's a very, very bad habit. It's really easy to do that too. Like, I don't blame anybody for comparing to others. It's so easy. The game is designed around comparing to others. I could just click on a random person, right? And just hover their gear and you see the big white numbers and you're like, oh my God, this gear is so much better than mine. I'm just going to compare it to that person, right? It's so easy to do it, but you have to really try not to, because it's going to just stress you out and end up making you quit the game. The next thing that I want to talk about is progression speed. Now, this sort of goes with expectations. What's very weird about MapleStory is when you're playing this game on an event, like let's say you started in the June event. If you started in the June event, you would probably have challenger gear, you probably hyper burned your character, got a bunch of nodes, all these types of resources from events that made your progression speed pretty fast. But the problem is, once all of that stuff goes away, your progression speed slows down so much. I have done literally hundreds and hundreds, probably close to 1,000 account reviews total since I've been streaming and making videos of just talking to people about their equips. How do they upgrade? How do they get stronger? I've had this discussion so many times, and I kid you not, probably 95% of the time or more, whenever people ask me how do they progress, are they doing something wrong? They're actually not doing anything wrong. It's just that progression after you move on from challenger's gear, after you finish your hyperburn, is so much slower than before that it feels like you're doing something wrong, because all of a sudden, like, you're moving up and up and up, every day you're getting stronger, and then boom, nothing happens for potentially weeks at a time. time, you were getting 0 gains. And that difference is very jarring for a lot of people. And it starts to settle into your mind of like, wow, I just have to really just play this game for potentially months of dailies, right? Like, let's look at my Sia, for example, with its challenger gear. If I were to want to get this character stronger, level 267, what could I do, right? Objectively, what would I do? Let's say this is the only character on my account, or maybe I had basic links in Legion. What would I do to make this character stronger? I would need a lot of mesos and a lot of gear to replace it, right? I would have to get a lot of money and a lot of gear to replace my current gear. Now, how would I do that? CRA is pretty easy, right? I just killed the weekly bosses. What about the Absols or potentially Arcanes? How would I go about getting them? Well, you're just going to have to do weekly bosses every single week and either hope they drop or very, very slowly accumulate the materials. What about things like Golux? If I want to get the 4-set superior, how am I supposed to get that? I'm going to have to end up buying the superior ring and the superior pendant. They both cost 700 Golux coins, which takes about a month to get. So just getting the Golux gear takes at least 2 months of dailies, at least. And I'm going to need the superiors to drop in the first place, like the earring and the belt. If they don't drop in that time, then I'm going to potentially have to wait another month to buy them. And there's nothing you could do to accelerate this process. Like, this is just how it is. And that realization is pretty tough because it's going to require you to do dailies and weeklies for months at a time to feel any significant amount of progression. The other thing about this game is it's very, very focused on events. Like, for example, Shining Star Force. If you know that an event is coming up, let's say in 3 weeks or 4 weeks time from now, you're going to feel like you can't spend your money until the event hits, which is the right thing to do. You should wait until the event because during the event, you'll save so much money, right? But the waiting time until the event can be really, really long and you might lose interest in the game by that point. But if you end up spending your money before that point, then you kind of griefed, and that also pisses you off because it's like, you know, the likelihood of you getting something good is so much lower off event. So if you get unlucky, you're going to be like, oh my God, why didn't I just wait? What am I doing? Like, I'm just going to quit, right? So that's what I mean by like progression speed. Progression speed changes so much, especially in the early game. When you're very starting out in the game, it's super slow. But then you get the ball rolling a little bit with events and it's really fast. And then once you finish your events, then it's really, really slow again. And you're going to end up having to just farm all day and do dailies and weeklies to feel any amount of progression, which is just the name of the game, which it goes back to expectations, right? That's how MapleStory is. MapleStory is a long, grindy game. The people that are end game didn't get there in a few months. They got there over years of consistent grind. Now, I'm not saying you have to grind like a stupid amount every day, but something that you have to realize about MapleStory, and in my opinion, I think is the reason why a lot of people quit, is because they don't fully realize how long of a grindy game this is. This is a very long-term grindy game. This last one is a little bit weird, and I want to make it clear there's nothing necessarily wrong with this, but I've just noticed this a lot throughout my years of playing the game, is nostalgia. Obviously, so many people have a crazy amount of nostalgia with this game, right? And maybe they want to come back and check it out, which again, there's nothing wrong with doing that. But what I've personally found to be the case is a lot of people that want that nostalgia fix on MapleStory usually don't end up getting it in the way that they think they will. So a lot of people have very fond memories of doing like party quests together or talking to certain friends that they've had in the game or whatever, something like that, right? And maybe you haven't come back in like 15 years or even like 20 years or something and you haven't played the game. The game has changed so much since then. It's to the point where like it looks the same, right? It's the same old MapleStory that we all know and love, but it's fundamentally so different. It's such a different game. The culture is different. The way that you progress is so different. And that could be very like shocking to a lot of people. I've known personally, like whenever I talk to people in real life, they ask me like, oh, what do you do? I'm like, oh, I make MapleStory content. They're like, MapleStory, like that game's still around? There's actually been times where people have come back to the game because I said that, right? They're like, oh, like maybe I'll check it out then. And they come back and they're like, wow, the game is so different, and they end up not continuing to play. But that's just the way it is. I mean, what is the game supposed to do? Be the same for 20 years? I mean, it has to update, right? But yeah, I mean, honestly, those are just some reasons why I think people end up quitting the game. There's nothing wrong with quitting the game in the first place. I just want to also point that out. You can do whatever you want. I've just noticed these different things throughout the years of playing the game. game. I really want to hear what you guys think. Like, why would you stop playing this game, or why have you stopped playing the game if you already quit and maybe you're just interested in watching this video. I do read all the comments, even if I don't like or heart them. I do read all of them, so I'm very interested in what you guys have to say. And if you watched the whole video, I appreciate you guys so much. Definitely say the word Kali, because honestly, bro, I'm gonna be brave and say it. She's the best aesthetically designed character in the whole game. I said it, bro. Anyways, appreciate you guys so much for watching. Let me know what types of videos you want, and check out some of my other videos. There's a lot of videos on the channel you could learn from and continue to play the game with. And I hope you have a wonderful day. Shout out to my beautiful members: Blazefire, Shooms, Shagad, Ravi Espa, Koga, Skittles, CKJ, Vampiric X, Fresh and Juicy, Kelvin, Cloud Figs, Trashbot, Henzo, Dylan, Cloudy Quesos, Jason B, Sylvester L, JA, Russell M, Mochi Teddy, Zero Sama, Shredbot, Michael R, and Suna TM. I appreciate you guys so much. If you guys ever want to submit art, put it in the Discord fan art channel, and I'll see you for the next video.